Hey y'all. Okay. So I made a video the other day about Kirk Franklin. And I thought it was funny. I've been watching it like several times a day because I think it's funny. And I'm like, y'all, ain't nothing we can do for Kirk. Kirk has decided that he want to be an exotic dancer and he wants to use gospel music while he's doing his set. Apparently, that's what he's into. He's like, hey, gospel music makes me feel sexy or something. I mean, it's just like Kirk says, y'all gonna let me do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna keep on stomping. So I was tickled during that video trying to even put it out. I don't like them. Anyway, I was tickled. And I was just like, you know what? Kirk got too much worldly residue on him. And he don't want to wash it off, apparently. That was my opinion. That's how I feel when it comes to Kirk Franklin. Because he been doing this mess since 1994 or 5. And he loves to push the envelope. He even says it in his intro of Stomp and stuff, they think we've gone too far with our message. And I'm like, well, I don't think it's Jesus' message that you are going too far with. I think it's the dancing and it's the secular spirit behind whatever you trying to throw onto some Jesus music. But I digress. Anyway, so, I'm just talking trash about Kirk. His stage name is Keep Him Creaming Kirk. I was just like, I don't know. I thought it was hilarious. Again, like I said, I watch it several times in the day because I just like to laugh at myself. I think I'm hilarious. Anyway, so I've been working on myself. And this is so you don't get too far ahead of yourself thinking that you better than other people and you done reached a certain level of Christendom or Christianity or, just because you've overcome this, you start thinking so high of yourself. So I've been working on myself, just casting down any high thing that exalts itself against the nature of, casting down imaginations and any high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought into the obedience of Christ. Y'all had to think about that. I say this all day and then I get on camera and what? Anyway, so I do that. And it's been highly effective. It's like I am taking more accountability of the things that I let come in my ear gate, my eye gate. Whenever thoughts go through my head, I don't let them just run, which I'm saying, the enemy just run with the ball. Because a lot of times we do. We let the enemy run with the ball. And then we wonder why we can't get over. So we have all these strongholds in our life. We just let him play all this music and it's saying all kind of treacherous things. I mean, it's just shucks. Okay, case in point, I've been really good about, let's stop doing that. Let's stop it with the music, very specifically. Like, I'm going to be more conscious of the kind of music that's coming in, because even though you may not feel stimulated in that moment, you don't know what that's doing internally to your spirit, and when the enemy can pull that out, or how he is laying up foundations based on what is going into your subconscious. So I think this is so important that we are very careful, especially because of the music that we let in. Remember that he was the minister of music in heaven. That means that he's got that on lock. Like, you have to be ever so careful about, basically, in my opinion, anything to do with music, because that is Satan's literal expertise. And so he controls that on this earth. So any secular music that you hear, he's got his hands in it. He's going to try to corrupt it. He's going to try to just do something completely, he uses it very effectively. All you gotta do is just kind of look at life and look at people and look at how he has so many people bound because of what they're listening to. And that's such an important thing as far as what we allow to come in. Our eye gate, of course, is important, but a lot of times it's easier to turn away from looking at something than hearing something. So anyway, I'm telling you the story. I have a point. Is that I'm talking about Kirk because I feel like I done reached certain levels. I done tore down certain strongholds. And so today, like, all these secular songs coming in my head. What in the world? I mean, every song, y'all listen. Songs that I know exactly what they do to me. Songs I know exactly who they make me think of. Songs that It's like, ugh, okay. Listen, I'm one of those 70s babies, so I really do like to listen to late 60s, early 70s music. That's to me the era of love music. Like when you really did have some man that you love and he had his woman that he loved. Like movies like Claudine. I just love that movie because I was like, this is the only like real depiction of black love that I feel like we even have. Anything past that, it just feels like it's got so much rough and tough and scruff in it. I mean, our generation or generations after, like our children, I'm like, I don't even think they know what love really looks like when it comes to a man and a woman as far as black people. So it's crazy. Anyway, so, Isley Brothers popping up in my head. I mean, current music popping up in my head. I'm talking about music from 10 years ago popping in my head. And y'all, I'm singing it in the car, like singing it. This is what I do to get you in the mood. I'm like, oh, shut. Jesus, thought I was delivered. Anyway, so I am telling you that it is so important to guard these things and to just be careful before you start speaking to other people like I did with Kirk. Even though Kirk is Kirk. Still, the enemy be like, oh, really? I got something for you. Janika. I love the way you came at Kirk, but I got something for you. Anyway, that was just something I wanted to express because it is something. It's a journey that I've been on personally, just to take more accountability for the things that are coming in to me spiritually, to make sure that I'm reading my word more, to make sure that, when I go to those places of anger, and y'all been doing so good, places of anger, the words that come out of my mouth, are not sinful. I was like, whoa, shucks now. But I'm telling you, like, you really have to cast a lot of that stuff down. Things that you may be experiencing from generational curses. I mean, altars that may have been built by your ancestors. Things that you may have come into agreement with in regards to the words that you've spoken during your lifetime that you didn't realize gave Satan legal access to just wreak havoc or to have this type of stronghold over you that seem like you have no control over when you get in certain situations. I mean, cursing is something that I would not even do unless I got mad. Ooh, when I got mad, it was like oh, Jesus. It was like, like what? That woman ain't no Christian over there. That woman ain't. She can't be. Not what just came out of her mouth. That woman, don't try to minister to me, lady. Don't, because when I would rip it, you understand? And my children, and this is where you never want to, say certain words, to your kids and around your kids. And I just gotten to the point where they would just frustrate me so much, and I would just like blah, da, 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 not cursing at them, but cursing in general. And I was just like, this is unbecoming one of a Christian. Like, that's just, you don't want to ever be seen in that type of light where now someone can look at you and feel like this is not where I go. This is not the picture of Christ that I want to be involved in. That looked just like my uncle who get drunk on Saturday nights. I ain't trying to do that. Never mind. You don't want to be this picture where your children say, my mom was like, this is what we seen was a Christian, and she would just go off when she got mad. And I would. When I get mad, it was like, oh my gosh, that button, woo. But then, God has been putting in my spirit, it's like, be angry but sin not. And I realized that the last altercation I had, I got really, really upset with someone. Oh, I got so mad. And it hasn't been the only one. It's been like several within this week, and I have been able to maintain the tongue. I've been able to maintain what would come out of me in those moments. And even if I did say something, I would not say anything that would have anyone questioning, okay, is that lady a woman of God? So these things are super important. You just have to, I say that just to say that, we have to make sure that even when we think we got this thing on lock, we feel like, oh, this has been changed in my life, we have to still continue to do the work, because you don't know how much residue is still left on you. Worldly residue, as I said, Kirk is still carrying around. I mean, Kirk, he carrying bags of that junk. But anyway, that's just the point, is that we have to constantly monitor, we have to do our own evaluations. That's what fasting and praying really helps you to do, is just to get in the presence of God and say, what is it about me, Lord, that I can change to be closer to you, to be in your perfect will? And so that's something that I've been focusing on. I encourage you all to do that, y'all. The time of us being Christians, worldly Christians, because y'all know it's a lot of worldly Christians out there. Oh my gosh. What, y'all who go to those Beyonce concerts? And let me just say something. Everybody got mad and came in and went, let have on this woman, Tiffany. That's her name, Tiffany, prophetess Tiffany. And they went off on her about saying that, if you a Christian, you have no, I dare you call yourself a Christian if you are going to Beyonce concerts. But the reality of it is that God had been speaking to that in my spirit. She wasn't the only one who was calling that stuff out. I remember, like, my daughter actually had downloaded the most recent, playlist for Beyonce. And I was sitting there and listening to it in the car. And because I was in her car, and I was saying, I was telling my daughter, I said, you shouldn't be listening to Beyonce's music. I said, it's demonic. I said, look at these, I was looking at the pictures. I said, she's on pale horses and things. I was like, the stuff that she's saying, I wasn't even getting to the witchcraft stuff and Oshun and stuff. I hadn't researched any of that. I was just simply saying, if you listen to the words of this, it would not agree with your spirit. If you listen to the words of things, it won't agree with your spirit. And see, as a Christian, we definitely listen to the words of things because we're taking it in. So we have to be more conscious. Now, when I was 20 something like her, they could have been saying anything. Erykah Badu was out here putting curses in her music, and I was listening to it just like my daughter was, sitting there riding like doom 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 do 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 do, just going along with all that stuff, listening to it and saying it back and everything. Like I said, this is why I said a lot of times we put up altars and we do things and have said with our mouth unknowingly, even repeating music where there were rituals that were out there. And we've stated it. We've come into agreement with our mouths. That's why a lot of times our spirit is moved when we hear certain songs and things, because we just went into agreement with that spirit. And it generally, of course, if you come into agreement with it, it was something or some form of action that was in opposition of the will of God for your life, usually in some sexual context. Let's just be real. Let's keep it a buck, So unless you a killer, I ain't no killer. So that's all I really have to say is, like, me and Kirk need to work on ourselves. That's what I really wanted to say. Y'all be blessed. Think about what I said.